you remember falling in love? That magical, once-in-a-lifetime moment of certainty, when you know this is meant to be, until the bubble bursts. And just as easily we fall out of love, things cool off, or become stormy, and we're drowning, wondering, what happened to my happily ever after? But then you meet someone new, and this time it is meant to be. Or is it? Hollywood and Bollywood tell us love is fated, it's written in the stars. Either we're lucky or unlucky in love. Maybe you've been unlucky, like me, and 20 other people in this room. 42% of the UK marriages end in divorce. And when love goes wrong, it can be painful beyond words. So I stopped trusting my heart. I turned to science, read decades of brilliant research, and discovered that real love isn't fated, it's created. And if we all learnt how to create it, our world would be transformed. 7 out of 10 divorces could be avoided. We'd live between 4 and 15 years longer. There'd be less stress, depression, addiction, and we'd have more creativity to bring into our working lives. Happily ever after may begin by falling in love, but just like any time we fall, it's an accident of chemistry. It has more to do with the density of oxytocin and vasopressin receptors in our brain than it does with fate. It's a survival instinct, and it motivates us to pair for life. Only 3% of mammals do this. What do they have in common? They all have the largest brains within their subspecies. And guess who has the biggest brain amongst the primates? This makes sense of our overwhelming desire to make love permanent. But if we are neurobiologically hardwired to stay with one partner for life, surely lasting love should come naturally too. Or is happily ever after a myth, along with fate? Thankfully not. Some couples really do stay in love, and they grow closer as time goes by. What are they doing to change the accident of falling in love into real love? What do they do to turn the accident of falling in love into real love? In the years between my marriages, I studied relationships and experimented in my own love life. I call it my desperate decade of dating. And it was painful. A coaching client of mine said the other day, shouldn't dating actually be listed as a form of torture? So I'm speaking to this wonderful couple in their 90s. They've been married almost 70 years. He's bent double. She's practically bald. And when I ask them the secret to lasting love, he looks across at her and says, she's still a vision of gorgeousness. What had they done to make love last? They'd put on their rose-tinted glasses and never taken them off. But if yours have fallen off, as mine have done from time to time, then relationship skills can help us put them back on and keep them on. But what skills? We're told conflict resolution and communication skills make love work. But the evidence shows that even in the best marriages, 69% of conflicts are never fully resolved. And there's no correlation between brilliant communication and lasting love. The science is clear. There are 4 toxic habits to avoid, 3 skill sets that make love work, 2 mindsets that either strengthen or weaken love, and 1 thing, above all others, that makes love thrive. Happy couples practice the 4, 3, 2, 1 habitually and usually unconsciously. That sounds really unromantic. Surely love should be magical and mysterious. Yes, but should it be so much of a mystery that we can never figure out how to make it work? I've taken the 4, 3, 2, 1 and turned it into a coaching tool so that all of us can create magic and mystery using evidence-based relationship skills. Because I figure, if we want to sail the stormy seas of life with someone, what do we need? A strong relationship. So first, let's build a sound hull And this represents friendship. Next, let's hoist the sails, catch the wind, because emotion is the wind in the sails of our relationships. And now let's climb the rigging to the crow's nest. Look out and see a glimpse of our happily ever island. Have a vision for our relationships. Now let's use the ship's wheel to navigate towards that vision and away from the icebergs, the 4 relationship killers. The friendship skill set is what keeps our relationships afloat. So let's start with number 1 of the 3 things that make love work. During my own research and working with couples, I found that one of the best ways to turn a skill into a habit is to pose it as a question in our own minds. We'll always find a way to answer our questions. So if we're walking around in our relationships thinking, why am I not appreciated more? Then the answer's not going to be great for our relationship. But if we're asking, how can I express my admiration and appreciation for my partner? Then our relationship's going to thrive. So let's ask ourselves, am I responding positively to my partner? Am I empathizing? We're all different. We all give and receive love in different ways. Am I expressing love in a currency that's filling his treasure chest? Am I treasuring our time together? Am I fully present? We're just too busy right now. There's always tomorrow. But of course, one day there won't be. When my father was dying, I had so much I wanted to say. How grateful I was for everything, how much I loved him. And I was amazed at Mum. She didn't seem to feel any urgency. They'd spent 38 happy years together, and their love was shown in 100 daily kindnesses. Dad would often say to Mum, "Has anyone ever told you how beautiful you are?" To which she'd reply, "Yes, you have." And that's what researchers see when they watch great couples. They wake up each day with a smile for each other. A hug, a cup of tea if you're British, a thank you, a compliment. Take those 5 small positive interactions, times them by 20, and you have the happy 100. 100 tiny moments of connection every day. Fate says love lands on us. It's one of those big defining moments in life. But real love is created in 100 little choices. So is the happy 100 part of your daily routine? And if not, how could you make it so? So the 5 friendship skills underpin everything. But love is more than friendship. Turns out we do have to trust our hearts, drop down the 40 centimetres from our prefrontal cortex and learn a new set of skills. How to harness emotion, the wind in our sails. Have you ever noticed how the emotions are like the wind? They change. They can whip up into a furious storm one minute and dead calm the next. So let's not follow every wild emotion. When our best selves are at the helm of our ship, emotion will take us where we want to go. The magic ratio with emotion is 20-1, positive to negative. That's massive. We're often told to balance 1-1, positive, negative, but that's just not true. The evidence shows that happy couples are 20 times more positive and 5 times more positive even when they're arguing. So what do we do with those difficult emotions? Am I saying we should squash down anger and sadness, afraid to rock the boat? No. Scientist Sue Johnson says, in insecure relationships, we hide our vulnerabilities and our partner never really sees us. But if they can't see us, how do we ever really know we're loved? Love isn't an emotion. But when we love skillfully, we can handle all emotions. So have the courage to express the positive and the negative. Just remember, 20-1. Count off all the positives on your fingers and toes before you bring up the tricky stuff. And if that seems contrived, just imagine you're catching a fair wind. Because if you do, it'll help you solve problems more easily. It'll help you to be open to transforming the problems you can't solve into intimacy and keeping the spark alive, and healing when the sails tear. Because if we do follow every emotion, our ships will veer off course into stormy waters or drift into icy seas. But what is off course? If we don't know where we're going, how do we get back on course? So we need a third skill set, the navigation system. This helps us chart our course and find our purpose and have a vision for where we're going. It's like looking out from the crow's nest. And almost no one does it. In all the years I've worked with premarital couples, only one has ever said, yes, Cathy, we have a clear vision for our marriage. And I was working with another couple recently. They had an unshakable friendship and clearly loved each other. But 20 years of marriage teetered on the brink. They were planning an amicable divorce. And the children had already chosen rooms in Mummy's new house. As we talked, it became clear they had lost their passion because they had no sense of purpose. So we did some powerful visioning exercises and they shared their dreams together and created a vision for the future they really wanted. A family life full of adventure and travel. Within a month, she'd moved back in. Within 2, they were laughing together on my sofa, more passionate and committed to their marriage than ever. So do you have a vision for the kind of relationship you really want? Because the best way to predict your future is to create it. And when we're clear about our purpose, it's much easier to navigate towards it and away from the icebergs, the 4 relationship killers. During my desperate decade of dating, I was the single girl at the party year after year after year, until a friend said to me, well, Kath, there's only one common denominator in all your relationship failures. He was right, it was me. But why? I was working so hard. Now I know I was doing the opposite of what makes love work. I was focusing on the problem and lovingly trying to fix him. Professor John Gottman, the world's leading relationship scientist, studying 1/100th of a second interactions between couples, has found just 4 things that kill love. Criticism, pointing the finger, telling your partner, you're the problem. Defensiveness, putting up the walls, I'm not the problem. Contempt, I'm married a problem. Contempt predicts divorce to 94% certainty. It suppresses our immune system, making them miserably married 35% more prone to contagious disease. And it triggers the 4th iceberg, emotional disengagement. It's not just an awkward silence. The silent treatment destroys trust and over time kills love. The 4 toxic habits are like icebergs, gouging holes in the hull of our friendship, one after the other. Icebergs sink relationships, but we can steer away from them. Imagine the one you love says or does something insensitive. When it hits you right here, but it comes out, you idiot! Within a split second, to avoid feeling our pain, we point the finger. And what happens? The walls go up, and so does their heart rate. Once it's above 95 to 100 beats per minute, they're physiologically unable to empathise with you. Let's melt the icebergs of criticism and contempt by saying, I feel hurt. I feel sad. I've got a knot in my stomach, a lump in my throat, or just ouch. It gives your partner the chance to come close. They've felt those sensations. They can empathise. So we've talked about the 4 icebergs of criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and emotional disengagement. The 3 parts of the ship, friendship, sails, harnessing emotion, and navigating with a shared purpose. 3 weeks after I began using just one of these skills, my boyfriend proposed to me. We wouldn't have a loving, intimate marriage without this stuff. My husband calls it relationship by numbers because it's simple. But simple's not always easy. There are 2 mindsets. On the one hand, love is a survival instinct. It helps us meet our needs. But on the other hand, do you want to be loved because you meet someone's needs? We want it to be unconditional, don't we? And we need love most when we're least able to give it. I was at a party once, and the table was laden with strawberries and cherries, bowls of melted chocolate and whipped cream. But before we ate, our host said, there's just one rule. You can't feed yourselves. So you can imagine the hilarity as we dipped and crammed sticky fruit into each other's mouths. It was an unselfish, unself-consciously brilliant night. Why? Because our mindset was to meet each other's needs, forgetting entirely about our own. If we say to our partner, I'll be responsive and empathetic and appreciative if you are, or I'll do my half of the happy 100 if you do yours, or if we say, I'll be committed to this relationship as long as you are, then trust is diminished and love fades. So what's the one thing that brings the winds of love rushing back to fill our sails? It's this. Say yes to your partner. Because the only thing we're ever really doing in our relationships is asking and answering one question. Are you there for me? So let's find every possible way to say yes. Yes, I'm here for you. Yes, let's follow our dreams together. Yes, I'll be committed 100%, even when you're struggling. We can say an authentic yes even when we'd rather say no. Imagine your partner's amorous and you're exhausted. But instead of saying, not tonight, darling, I'm too tired, you say, yes, 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 I can't wait to make love to you tomorrow. When I have the energy to make your body sing. Am I saying we should fake it? No, let's create it. When we believe love is fated, we become passive. We have no power to turn things around. But we are creators of love. And when we really believe that, and when we love skillfully, the really brilliant thing is, it feels like we're meant to be. Love's not fated, it's created. Thank you.